I just wanted to hop in with a quick disclaimer before this next episode. So, in this episode, Steph and I interviewed a friend of mine, Donnell Regusters, who is a filmmaker, writer, director, actor, producer. And in the light of the SAG after strike and the limitations on promoting struck work, just wanted to point out two things. One, he's promoting his upcoming movie One Gun, which is an independent production, but also this was recorded prior to the strike, so there's no limitations on the conversation. So enjoy and make sure you check out One Gun when it comes out. Thank you. Welcome to Artist Alchemy, the podcast where we get into the minds of creatives. I'm John Cruz. I'm a portrait photographer based in Philadelphia in the U.S.
And I'm Steph. I'm a fantasy photographer based in Lincoln in the UK.
And today our guest is Donnell Regusters, who is a filmmaker. I was looking you up. It's like writer, director, producer. You kind of have your hand in all of the pots. So really, we want to get into your path of storytelling and like some of the different aspects of making a film. We were just talking about I love like the notion of filmmaking because it is such a all-encompassing storytelling vehicle, but there's so many parts I don't know anything about it. So I'd love to dive right into that. And
that's great.
And for the audience at home, like full disclosure, well, I was telling Steph before we hopped on, like, we met when we were like what, 12, like some 12 or 13, something like that.
Yes.
So
yep.
Like
from junior high on
really
up,
cool.
at least maybe even elementary.
Yeah.
Right. Definitely, we go back pots and pans.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
That's very
so
cool.
Welcome. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're carving out some time for us today to chat, but we would love to hear like your story.
Well, it was a long time coming with the process of this film. It's called One Gun, right? We've got the edit done and everything now, so we're going on to do the final pieces of it, which is like a trailer, handling the paperwork, which is called deliverables, the things you have to send off to that paperwork for your movie, licensing of different things, from music to who owns what. A lot of stack of paperwork goes with your film when you hand it off to the streamers or distributors, if you will, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all those have to be done. I have to sit down with my attorney friend, and he's going to help us out with that. We're going to get a trailer done now, and then start marketing and doing some promotion, and then have our premiere. And
That's
we're going to
so
have a premiere
cool.
here somewhere in Philadelphia, so I have to try to find a good location for it right now.
And you've written this
But
film
beyond
yourself?
that, yes.
Amazing.
Not myself, my executive producer.
Yeah.
I'm the producer, director, and co-writer. My two partners, Thomas Overton, who wrote the book that the movie is based on, and my other partner, Roland. We call him Ice because he's part of a rap group called Non Brigade. So if you hear me reference Ice, that's my executive producer, and he financed the film. So we're a team together called Phenomenal Pictures, and this is our first project, and I'm very, very proud of what we put together. We did it during COVID, so that made it even more odd and different. And it was like a long time coming because a lot of the pieces of the story, of not the story, but of the film, were relationships that I had built up over the years, so that when I was ready to do this project, I knew I had people to call.
Okay.
From every little piece, and then certain people were able to pull in other people. You have a good relationship with one person, they have other people that you can pull in. So, and we all just worked well together. And I'm looking forward to working with everybody again, from the actors down to my crew and my gaffer. Like, everybody's was essential. And that's why I was talking to a friend yesterday about this, about how film is it's like football of art. It's the most, it's that art, it's the art form that encompasses everyone. It's the ultimate team sport of art.
And I love that you guys all collaborate as well, because isn't that what everyone wants in the creative industries? So I love that you're pulling from everywhere and giving everyone an opportunity to get involved, which is awesome.
It's funny, last week we interviewed an actor from the UK, and one of his things was he's like at auditions, he's like, I'm just trying to make my good impression whether I get the part or not, because this is a relationship business, and somebody will call me later for something else. Like, it's like you have 100%. To just build You build that relationship because like you were saying, like you rely on the people that you feel comfortable with. So when you go to create something, you're putting everything out there. Like you put yourself out there. Like it's like, hey, I'm going to go to the people who I know that will get the job done and support me. You know?
Yeah.
That's 100% true. I was telling another friend yesterday. I said, look, because he's going to make a film himself, and I was telling him, I said, man, I know the success of this film will be not just that people saw it and liked it, right? Because that's important, obviously, but it's that the people that are part of it are working somewhere else. You know, like my actors, someone saw the film and someone said, I want that guy, or someone liked the look of the film and said, well, who shot this film? You know, I want to get that guy. You know what I mean? And it's like, if my project does well, that's important. But I know the fruits of the labor come from seeing the people who I work with go on and do more work because
Yeah.
people saw the work that we did together. That's important to me.
So
Yeah.
if we could go back
And
in history, like how did you, because like all of those moving parts you had to learn at some point. Now, some of it, did you learn like as you were going through the process, or did you pick it up on working on other projects? You're like, okay, I'm going to save that for later. Like, I think about like, I think like if, and stuff, this analogy will be lost on you, but I remember when the Eagles, our local football team, they hired Andy Reid and he had this binder. He was a head coach and he was like an assistant coach. And as he was doing every level of the game, he created papers, like notes about it. So when he was ready to become a head coach, he had his binder ready to go. He's like, I know how to do all this because I've learned every aspect of this game. And like, it's
wow.
like, so when you're doing a film, and to go back to the football analogy, it sounds like there's so many moving parts. Like, so how did you like learn all of the pieces as you went along?
Well, I'll date myself a little bit because I did go to film school, right? Everybody doesn't have to go to film school to be a filmmaker, right? That's just what it is. But if you go, you're going to learn all those moving parts because that's what school does, right?
Yeah.
From film theory to every little piece, right? And then you kind of, while you're there, you try to find and focus what's the one that you like. But I had a old head of mine basically let me know when I came back home to Philly. He said, look, you want to direct, man. So that means you don't do everything. You know, your job is to facilitate and to direct the people who do the work. You know, your job isn't to shoot, your job isn't to act, your job isn't to edit. Your job is to find the people who do all that work very well, and then you let them know what you want. You know,
Yeah.
so as a director, it's my job to say to my camera person, to my DP, man, and my gaffer, like, this is the shot I want. This is the look I want. You know, this is where the camera should move. You know, this is how we want to do this. And I relay that to the actor and everybody else. You know, my job is to facilitate all the talent. Like, I find talent because I think I'm a pretty good eye for talent, right? And then I give them what they need to do their job, and then they knock it out. And then the collaborative part comes in when someone will say, all right, well, this is cool, but what you think about this? And I'll say, well, damn, that's pretty hot. Let's do that. You know, and that's when the collaborative part comes in, and you have even more fun because you know I'm not the person that's going to be so stubborn that if somebody came with a better idea than what I had, then I'm gonna be like, no, we're not doing that. No, this looks too damn cool and it fits. Let's do it.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it's fun. You know, it's fun, and I
So it's
learned a
kind
lot
of
from
like,
my people because I'm a firm believer, and I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. You know,
yeah.
and I think you want to surround yourself with people who know at least what you know and more. You know, and my gaffer, he was super. I learned so much from this guy about lighting a set. You know what I mean? I learned from my DP, you know, my assistants, like everybody, even my actors, because some of my actors are friends of mine, and they're like big homies to me. You know, people who worked on movies and TV, who've been on bigger sets than I've ever been on in my life. You know, and they educate me on things. All right, you know, take me to the side, D, man. Next time you might want this instead of this because you know about make sure you got this and make sure this is all right. You know, they've done a little more than me, so it's like I can listen to these guys and take their advice, and I appreciate them all. You know, one of my actors is Christopher Mann and Brian Anthony Wilson. They're two of Philadelphia's more, you know, seasoned, and Nakia Dillard, seasoned working actors in Philadelphia, from everything from the Wire to Law and Order to now Nakia Dillard is on the new version of the Wonder Years. You know,
Ah,
so I got some guys that are doing some solid work, and I got people that are new fresh talent, like my nephew and one of my good friends that's coming up with me. I put him in some things, you know, and it's like good to see their potential of what they can become, because people have seen their stuff and like, man, they're good. I'm like, all right, I'm proud of that. You know, I'm proud of this project. I'm proud of the people that I work with. And it wasn't like, my partners are the best. They my guys. Roland Bailey, we call him Ice, and Thomas Overton. You know, I can't speak highly enough of these guys. And then there's one more person I have to mention is our other guy, Bernard. We call him Nar, BR. And if it wasn't for him, we all wouldn't come together. He was a connecting piece. He's our Cogswell cog, our Spacely sprocket. You know, our I call him the fifth Beatle. You know, so you know, it's a collaborative art form, and you embrace everybody who's part of that collaboration.
That's really cool. So everyone brings something to the table, whether that be something seasoned or like a new creative idea of doing something or a different perspective, but then you kind of bounce off each other to make the best of it, right?
That's 100% true. 100%
Amazing.
true.
And you
And
said it
what you
came from a book, right?
Yes, yes. The book is called Murder with a Deadly Weapon.
So what's
And
your process behind like getting it from the book onto the script and then obviously into a movie? It's like, how do you even go
great
about that?
question.
That's a big job, right?
Yes, it was a major undertaking, because we gone through the like over the last, since the 2000, films changed a lot, right? And we had started shopping a movie out to studios around like 2003, 4, 5, 6 maybe, because one of my big homies, he works out in the Sony lot out in California, so he was able to take it, Bill. You know, he was able to take it out there and get it around to people and get people to read it. He worked on edits on it as well. That's why his name is on the script along with mine and Thomas. You know, and so while we're doing that, you know, it hit Sony's table and they saw it. Someone had liked it, but it didn't get picked up. So at that point, we were just like, as the movie business was changing, it was becoming more palatable to be able to make your own project. It was getting cheaper, you know. And we were saying, all right, we can make this ourselves, you know, for amount of money. We don't have to have a super A-list actor in it, because the story itself is important, right? Because a lot of your money is going to go into an actor, really. You know, as long as we have the equipment and the you know, the lights, camera, and the action, and we find the right people to play the parts, you know, and we facilitate it well, we'll be okay. And it took some time for that to happen, because we had to find someone with the money, you know,
Yeah.
because at first it was just me and Thomas, and then our guy BR connected us with Roland, with Ice, and then from there it was like off to the races, and it was like, let's do this, you know. And I get a little emotional talking about this stuff, because it was such a long ride, but it really came to fruition very well to be with the right people. So
And
that
you
was
know
the
what?
process.
I
Really
can hear
started
your
shopping it first.
passion. I can hear the
Oh,
passion in
thank
your
you.
voice when you speak. In fact, just on a different note, your accent's so nice to listen to.
Oh,
I was just sitting
appreciate
there
you.
going,
Thank you
you've
so
got
much.
such a cool accent. Sorry,
Yo,
carry on.
you know what's so crazy about that is, like, literally like 2
What?
days ago, I was thinking to myself, and I didn't have anybody to ask about this. So now you're the perfect person. I was thinking, because I think the British accent and the Jamaican accent are like everything. Anybody who has that beautiful Jamaican accent or the British accent, I'm just like, you guys just make things sound better, right? So I was thinking to myself,
Really?
I said, do they think our accent is cool?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
that's great.
It's like I feel like I could listen to you read a book. Does that make
Wow.
sense?
Yes, it
That kind of
does.
thing. Yeah.
It does. Yo, you just made my day. I appreciate that a lot.
Ah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
We were talking about accents last week as well, because obviously the actor we had on last week, we can tell the difference between our English accents, but John was like,
Right.
you kind of sound the
Yeah,
same to
like
me.
yeah, so Steph is from the middle of the UK. He's from London, and they're like, our accents are clearly different. I'm like, they are not. Like, I mean,
Right.
I could pick up the difference between a Delco accent and like a South Philly, you know, versus Northeast Philly. Like, I can pick up the nuances of those things, but I can't hear the difference in their accents at all. Like, it was like,
No,
I can't
yeah.
hear like at all. Yeah.
I think mine's a bit mixed though, because I did live in London for like nearly 10 years, so I've kind of picked up little bits. But yeah, I'm back in the Midlands now. So sorry. Anyway, we digress.
Yeah.
So
No,
Danelle, I
what's
wanted
funny
to.
about the accent is I have a friend of mine who's acting now, and she's taking classes, and she's not the first person I heard this from, but it's like the Philly accent is a little different than everywhere else. So they told us that you got to calm down your Philly a little bit. You know what I mean? When she's
Oh,
talking, they told us that you got to calm down your Philly a little bit. You're doing good, but that twang is a little different than some of the other places. So when you are auditioning for things, you need to be cognizant of those kind of things.
Yeah,
so
it's funny. Like there
I
was
didn't.
actually an article I read that the Philadelphia accent is considered to be the northernmost Southern accent. Like that's how they define it.
Oh, that makes total sense. That makes total
Like
sense, man. That makes
like
total sense.
it's just that's how they've chosen to define it. And then above you get into although the accent itself is becoming more northern, so it's getting
It
closer
is.
to New York than it is to like Baltimore. Like if
Right.
you ever watched The Wire, like there's a lot of terms you hear. It's like, oh, that sounds like Philly. Like it's like
I always call Baltimore is our little brother, man.
yeah,
Baltimore is our little brother. I got a lot of good friends in Baltimore, and then when you're there, the good, the bad, and the ugly is like, you're like, wow, it is like Philly. It's just smaller, you
yeah.
know.
I think you two sound slightly different though. Just
I wouldn't
there's a
doubt that.
twang
I
of
wouldn't doubt that.
slightly different, but I
Little,
can't
little bit.
pinpoint what it is.
Yeah.
But sorry,
Yeah.
go on.
We it might be. Sean, how much time were you total county or you city?
I'm in the city now, but I was in, so I grew up in Lansdowne, went to school with you, but then you went to Maryland. I went to
I
school
did.
in the city. So like at that point, like our accents started to diverge a little bit,
Exactly. Like I was born in Southwest Philly, and then moved to Yaden,
Yeah.
right? So it's the jump between. I think I got like a mix of the Southwest County thing,
Hmm.
you know, and then like you said, down to Maryland, I brought that accent down there with me. Like, what are you talking about? It was cool though. It was cool.
Sorry, I got us off track there on accents because I just like hearing accents. But
Yeah, it
sorry.
is fascinating to hear. Well,
It is,
I want to
man.
go back to like what you were talking about, like you hear those stories about like the script ended up on the shelf and nothing ever happened to it. And now, like
Right.
the way we have technology now, like and Steph and I have talked about it, like we met on TikTok. We decided we had a conversation. We're like, oh, we should start a podcast. And now we're
That's
just
cool.
doing it. Like I'm in my studio with a mic I bought off Amazon. Like I don't like the barrier to entry just to create content is very low.
Right.
But in order to get it in right, so to create the thing now it's a lot lower than it was 20 years ago. But I think that, and this is probably the point where you are with, especially with this film, is now the separation in the marketing and getting in front of people is a lot more difficult because you don't have the Sony or the MGM money behind you pushing forward. So how are you taking it from creation to getting it in front of people and getting the hype cycle going? Like how like is that like you have to switch your brain into a totally different process and say this is what we're doing now, or is it all part of the creative flow?
For me personally, like one of my mentors used to be a director of communications for BET, right? So I like marketing and promotion kind of goes hand in hand with things that I'm thinking. While we're making it, I'm thinking about how we're going to promote it, right? That kind of stuff. I don't know that everybody thinks like that, but that's kind of like how I think, right? So I've had ideas about things to do. Now, at the same time, though, I know that's not what I do anymore. So I need to hire somebody, to help with that for publicity and marketing and promotion, that kind of thing. So I'm going to be hiring somebody to do publicity work. We got to get posters made and all that kind of stuff, and marketing materials made. Get on more podcasts like this and and other ones. Little TV stuff. Any kind of media that we can touch where we know people will see it to be able to reach out. Right now, along with that, we've got personal relationships that the executives of our team have. Whether it be my executive producer, he has strong relationships from the music business and in film, and I've built up to have a few relationships that is like people that I know that I can call that I'm not calling until I'm ready, if you will. And now with a film, it's like I have that card to say, look, man, I got this thing now. I could use your help with this. Point me in this direction. I have other good thing to always have is a solid attorney in your pocket, who can help you walk you through. You're going to have one, because of all the legalities in film and the protection of your work, you know. And so I got a big bro, James Elam, who used to do a lot of work with with music artists, and now he's in the film producing, and he's just the guy that's going to walk me through a lot of things like that, and probably walk us into some doors. And then my executive producer Roland, he's going to walk us to some doors. And then the plan is to really, for us as the executive crew, to sit down and say, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. This is the number we're thinking about, this number we will take, this number we won't take, right? And then as we're into this meeting, we're all on a united front, so that while we're in this meeting, we there's no ifs, ands, or buts about what we want to do, right? And then now we're going to hear what they're able to offer us, and we'll say, all right, this we're open to that, we like that, because I'm all about building relationships, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like if somebody's going to distribute my film, I want to keep working with these people, and
Oh,
I want to say, because the
absolutely.
one thing I learned in film school a long time ago was the film you're making is important, but the one thing they're going to ask you is, all right, what's next? That's the main thing. I've heard this a billion times. All right, you got that, but what's next?
Yeah.
Because they want to know, they want to keep the relationship building to make more money and keep things a pipeline going. They say content is king, so we want to keep making really solid content.
So how
And
many
have you
stories you got in
already
the backlog? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Have you
Go ahead.
already?
I'm sorry.
Sorry. Have you already got something up your sleeve ready, that like ideas or something in the pipeline after this done, so that when you make that relationship, you have got something to go, yes, I've got this? Or are you still thinking?
I have one of my guys is a writer, and he used to be involved in the I can talk about it because it's all book stuff, so I can talk about it. He used to be involved in Philadelphia organized crime life, and he's written some stories about his stuff, and they're solid, really solid stories because he's a hell of a writer, So I know I've always got his story in the back tuck. It's called Speed Trap, and it's a few other stories that my other partner and I have written, that need to be tightened up, but we have them that I could talk about them, but it's like, I'm still open. Like, I don't know what the next one's going to be right now, because what I also learned from this is that I'm not going to direct everything. I directed and produced this, and that was a lot. And I think I want to, unless it's my passion of a project, I don't want to direct it. I want to produce it, right?
Okay.
If it's something that I really love, that I wrote, or that somebody brought to me, that's like, D, this is you, man. You got to make this. I know you. This is your vision. I'm like, all right, I can do that too. But other than that, I want to produce more than I direct. Like helping to facilitate someone else's dream and project is a good feeling, because I just walk myself through doing that. And unless it's my passion, I don't want to direct everything. So I got to find something else that I really, really like, of a solid story, and do that. So I'm still open to and I jokingly tell people, I'm like, you better get me now, man, because like in a few years, I'm not sure I'm going to be as accessible. You know what I mean? That's not because I'm I told a friend too, I said, it's basically because after a while, I'm not going to be able to accept your work like I want to. It's going to have to go through somebody. You know what I mean? Because it's the process of legalities. You know what I mean? You don't want to read everybody's stuff and then you come up with something, they're like, well, that was mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these little things can happen. You can't just read everybody's stuff, So, but right now I'm open to doing that, because I'm just like, let's collaborate, but after a while, you got to protect yourself and your money and your projects, to say, all right, this is a non-disclosure agreements and all that kind of stuff.
And is the long-term goal kind of Hollywood type thing, or what?
It used to be when I was younger,
Okay.
And then you go through this business and you realize that's not the be all end all. And
No.
you don't even, it's really not. It's creating something that people want to see, that they embrace and enjoy. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what level it is on.
Yeah.
As long as I've created something that I'm comfortable with and happy with, and that people have watched and enjoyed, I don't need it to be the biggest thing that ever happened. I don't need it to be. I've always really wanted the big screen. I think because that's the generation we come from of film.
Yeah.
But right now it's like you create something like that and everybody's just going to watch it on their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, you don't know. So it's like you just I'm growing and learning a lot still. And I want to learn the business beyond just the making of the film, but the streaming and how that works and all those little things. So, you know, that's kind of direction that I'm going right now.
And I think that touches on quite an important part in any creative industry, whether you're a photographer like John and I, or whether you're an actor, a director, a producer, a writer, that you might have these pie in the sky goals, which are amazing to have, but also you can enjoy what you're doing and smaller projects and stuff that you're passionate about. And if you're passionate about it and you can make it work and you maybe getting some money from it as well, like winning, right? You're winning at life.
Right. Like you guys are photographers. Photography is like, it's one of my babies. I love it. You know, I enjoy taking pictures on people's sets, you know, like you know, photography on a set. I enjoy like I enjoy photography that's more photojournalism or event photography. I like catching things in the you know, in the motion when it's happening, you know, as opposed to posing people. You know, I've done that, but I really prefer to catch things as they happen, and you know,
like
and that kind of stuff. So yeah, very candid. Yes, exactly. And John,
So
man,
cool.
couldn't be more proud of you, buddy. Because
Ah,
when I didn't know John was taking pictures, when I didn't know John was a photographer, I was like, he started taking pictures. I was like, damn, this guy is good.
He's amazing.
well, I
You know?
appreciate it, and thank you so much. But yeah, and it was a long road to get to what I'm doing now. Like it was like not like that's not where I started out. I might, yeah, I went to school for fundamentally different things, and then I just kind of started doing
It's
it.
like
But
you got things take you where they take you, man, and you just got to be open enough to want to embrace it.
yeah,
You know, and it's been cool. It's been a cool ride. It's not been an easy ride by any stretch of the imagination. It's stressful. It's hurtful sometimes. You know, because these are your dreams you're messing with. You know,
yeah,
these are your dreams you're messing with, and it's like, all right, damn, I didn't touch this. I didn't get this. I didn't get this how I wanted it. But it's like, no, now I'm here, and it's taking a little longer than you wanted maybe, but when it all comes together and with the people that you did it with, you can't beat it. And then the night of the premiere is gonna be just like everything, you know, because then it's like you're seeing all the faces of the people.
yeah. Now, have you like this is like your production company right now is focused on film. Like a lot of these other production companies, like even the smaller ones, like have started to branch into these series. Like I know I just watched Servant, which is the M. Night Shyamalan one, which is all I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Angela Lynn Ware worked on that, bro.
Oh yeah?
Angie worked on that. Yeah, Angie worked on that. She did makeup on there.
Oh, a good friend of mine was like an extra in it, and I saw her, and I'm like, I took a picture, I texted her, I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you I was on that. I was on that show. I didn't know she was on that, worked on that show." But like, those are the type, like, it was cool to see something, and stuff because we are so close to New York. Like everything, every media we see is all shot in New York. So it's always cool to see something when it's like Philly based, and it's like. And it really captures like the uniqueness of Philadelphia in a different way. So like do you see yourself like continuing to focus on this area, or you're just like I'll go wherever the story takes me?
Man, that is the best question ever, bro. Because like my whole life coming up in this film, it's like, you know, you want to be like, you know, you're a filmmaker. It's like, I want to be like Spike. I want to be like Scorsese. You know what I mean? They're New York guys. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I want to do what they're doing in Philadelphia. You know, I want people to see, you know, all the things from the murals to the graffiti to the streets to the skyscrapers, you know, to everything from just the neighborhoods, you know, that's like people be like, yo, that's Philly, man. You know what I mean? It's like when you watch a movie and you go to New York, you're like, oh, they shot such and such here. I want people to watch the movies and be like, oh, this is where they shot such and such. You know what I mean? More than just Rocky. You know? So it's like I want that to happen because I feel like Philadelphia is it's a city, it's an old beautiful city, man. And I feel like the landscape of Philadelphia is like another character. You know, it makes the scene, I mean, you know, you shoot. So the scenery of Philadelphia can be gritty, but it can be beautiful all at the same time.
Yeah. Louis Kahn, the famous architect, modernist architect, he was based in Philly for a number of years, and his quote was, "The street is just a room that we've all agreed upon." Like, and so like for when he was talking about the outside of buildings, I'm creating whenever I create a building, that outside wall, I'm creating a wall for that space, that room that we all occupy. And like Philly has that, like when you go from one neighborhood to the next, you can feel that the room is different. Like it's a different
Yes.
vibe. Like,
Yes.
you know,
How
Sure.
does how big is Philly in comparison to New York? Excuse my not knowing that I've never been to either. So how big are they?
it's much smaller. I forget how big New York is. Philly, the Philly area is like 1.8 million people, I think. So it's technically the fifth largest city in America.
Right.
So it's
Right.
New York and then LA, but like you could argue that LA is just basically a giant suburb that they've incorporated.
Right. Right.
Chicago, and then like the others would be like Dallas and Phoenix, and again they're big, they're big sprawl. So when you talk about density, it's New York, Chicago, and then Philly as far as like real density.
Right. Yep.
If you don't account for like all the North Jersey, like Jersey City's pretty dense, and a lot of those areas, like they have a lot of like neighborhoods up there too. But Philadelphia's,
I don't know this for a fact, but I always felt like Philadelphia is like the size of like a borough or two.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Except for Brooklyn, because I think Brooklyn by itself could be like the second largest city. It was like weird. It's like,
yeah, that's crazy, right?
because Brooklyn's huge.
If you saw a film with like, would it be identifiable like that had been shot in Philly? That's what I was going to ask. Like, or would you be like, oh, was that New York?
It would to
Was
us.
that Philly? I don't know.
Oh yeah, to us, I'm definitely going to know it was shot in Philly.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to know it was shot in Philly. Yeah,
like
definitely gonna know.
like when I just watched Servant, I know that block. I know exactly where they filmed that.
You know the architecture.
That's cool.
Yeah,
You know?
like I know exactly where it was, and I'm like, okay. And then I know how they faked it too. Like they're like, if you haven't watched it, like the front of the street and the back of the house, they're two different blocks, and I know the two different blocks. Yeah.
Yo, John, I was just talking to somebody about that yesterday about how, one location can be three locations, or how you can, we shot, it's the scenes in the movie where we shot, in one's house inside, right? But the exterior of the house didn't look like the what we needed. So what we did was we got to another house in the area that we needed and just used the exterior, and the guy coming out of the house, and they matched up perfect. You know what I mean? And that's just, I was telling my friend, I said, that's the magic of cinema, man. That's the part of the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my editor made it seamless.
That's perfect.
That's cool. That's really cool. So if someone was listening to this or watching on YouTube, depending on where they see it, and they were like, oh man, I really want to get into film. I don't even know where to start. I've got no contacts. I haven't been to college for it. Like, what would your advice be for that?
YouTube University. YouTube University, man. It's really that simple. I met a young lady who did not know anything about makeup, right? And so she didn't have the fundamentals of makeup as far as like, foundation and stuff like that. But she watched videos of special effects makeup. And I watched her special effects stuff, and I was like, oh my God, she didn't go to school for this at all. She just really
cool.
sat down and watched the instructors show her what to do. She went through trial and error, and when you want something and you enjoy it, you'll do that. You'll watch the videos, you'll get the books, you'll watch the movies, and you'll learn. It's like, this isn't something that you necessarily, I'm proud that I went to film school, because I learned a lot there, and had good relationships, and film school gave me theory, which at first when I went to film school, I was like, film theory, I don't want to take this class. By the time I was done, it was like, this probably was the most important class I had, because I got an understanding. Yeah, like I'm a firm believer that any craft that you have, you should understand the theory of it. It'll give you a strong foundation, So now I can understand the process of the editing and Eisenstein and all this kind of stuff that the average person is not going to know, but I understand why to use it, as opposed to it just looks cool.
Yeah.
Like that low angle shot, there's a reason for that. That high angle is a reason for that. Not just it looks nice. Like, what is it representing? And that's
Yeah.
what theory kind of gave us.
And that's kind of how I add like special effects to my photos, and mine's all been learned just from like binge watching YouTube videos.
There you go. There you go.
But
Trial and error.
and then I kind of fell into that, and that's how we.
And it's the passion. You gotta have a passion, man. If you don't have a passion, it's not gonna, you're not gonna want to do it. You're not gonna stay on the YouTube and go down the rabbit hole of YouTube forever and learning things. Like, I went to school, and I still get on YouTube and look at these guys who do their tutorials, because they're showing me things I'm like, oh, this is cool. I didn't know this. Or you're showing me a different way to do something. My ego's not so big that I can't always learn. I feel like I'm gonna always learn. So I like to find it where I can get it. And right now, YouTube is one of the best places to find good, solid information, and it's free.
I heard it. It's funny that you say that, because like film always seemed like one of those things. It's like it's one of those older artistic models. Like, even though it's fairly like generationally, it's not that old, but like how to make a film, like there's some tenets to it. But then you hear something like, I heard an interview with Jon Favreau recently, and like he created that entire, like, instead of the green screen, he's using a projected image as opposed to green screen. So it's like he has these electronic panels with the backdrop. So he's like, I don't have to. So now we don't have to do that in edit, like for like the Star Wars stuff that he's doing. He's like, I can make the thing move with the actors in front of it, and now I don't have to go and put it in later. Like, it's just it was a new technology. He's like, I came across this. I was like, somebody teach me about this. And he's like, now we use that in like all the Mandalorian backdrops. It's like not green screen. It's panels with like actual project high def images on it or something like that.
That's cool. And the actors have to love that too. Cause I've seen people talk about working green screen. It's like, you're not talking to anybody, nothing's there, and like, but with that's cool. That's cool, man. I gotta find it. I gotta look that up.
Yeah, I probably butchered exactly what the technology is, but I know that he kind of like came across this and said, we're going to start using this. And then other directors have started to like pick up on it, because they're like, oh my God, this is like, it's a lifesaver. But new stuff's always coming up in everything that we do. It's like a new trick. Like, I know for me, like this new AI piece of Photoshop and this beta version they got out, oh my God, like the stuff that I can fill in and take out, I'm like, I have to learn this. Like, I have to figure this out, because it's just a new powerful tool,
Yes.
Well, Donnell, I want to be mindful of your time, and I appreciate you taking the time today. So where can so give us the details on the movie coming out, and where people can find you to keep tabs on it, so that they know where to catch it when it's out.
Well, I really have no clue where we'll be streaming, not one yet, but you'll be seeing it on one of your major streaming platforms. It's called One Gun. A trailer should be ready within the month, I'm thinking, and I'd like the premiere to be within September, no later than October, but maybe September. And I'll keep you posted on it. So if you're in the area, you definitely, come on through.
I will definitely be by.
And I think you'll be starting to see a little bit of buzz about us probably within the next, like I said, within the month, because we just got to start, mapping out what we need to do, and sit down with some people who know this marketing stuff even better than myself, and see the direction we're going to go. But before October, things will be rocking and rolling.
All right.
I'm excited for you. This is so cool.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And are you on, have you documented anything on like social media or Instagram or anything like that?
Not really, but not really yet, because we're just going to let that all go. I'm just handing it off to the publicist and let him get busy. But if you want to look up Phenomenal Pictures, at that point, or One Gun, the movie, or just my name, Donnell Regusters, you'll find something connected to that as it's going on. We're just at the beginning stages of getting to make it happen. You're the best. You're the best. Right. John, man, y'all two are a good team, man.
Yeah, it was like one of those things where we said, we're going to do it poorly, and we're just going to put it out in the world, and it's part of the creative process, because like we want to have these conversations. So we're like, all right, well, let's just see how it goes, and see where we go with this. So yeah, so
and we're fully on tending on this being a bit rubbish maybe at the start, or not being as polished as we want, but that's okay. That's part of the process. It's all right.
There you go. And it's cool because Philly and London, I feel like we're connected because if for nothing else, the Princess Diana picture in the Eagles jacket.
That's right. Like,
one of my favorites. I love it. You know what I'm talking about, right, John?
Yep. With the so there was I forget who it was that she was connected to, who was a Philadelphia, and he got her the Eagles jacket. And so that was an iconic thing. That's our football team. So
I do remember that, but I don't know who the player
yeah,
was.
I forget how it came to her, but it was like somebody she knew was connected to Philadelphia, and he got her that. So that was like always like the big connection. But yeah, we'll have to grab lunch. I met somebody that I photographed for Philly Current magazine for an article. He is about 10. I think he graduated in 2003. He's about 10 years behind us, from Lansdowne, and he started a comic book company, and he started with like I forget the Acolyte, I think is the name of the big hero. It was like, you know, his signature one is like the Black Superhero, and he's like but he wants to like expand his storytelling beyond. So maybe you could start making like local comic book hero stories like down the road. Like,
put me into this guy because I've been thinking about that stuff, man. Seriously, definitely.
So yeah, he's living up in North Jersey now, but he's like, we met up in front of the Lansdowne Theater because like that was part of his story.
Okay.
So we photographed there, but he was like, yeah, I've been thinking of it. Yeah, maybe I'll move back and like, but I'll definitely put you in contact with him. He's a cool guy, but he was a couple years behind us, and we were just talking about like the creativity that came out of our high school was kind of weird. Like it was just different. Like we all came out with we went all different paths, but there's a lot of creators that we went to high school with. You know,
you are so correct. You're so correct. We went to school with a lot of talented people, man.
Like you know, you're talking
about mine were all nothing like that.
Well, like
I was
when
like
he was talking about like
token creative.
Like the one girl we went to high school with, like she was she did makeup. She does makeup for films, and I didn't realize she was part of the servants crew. Like she does tremendous makeup. And so it was just wild. And so when I met him, I said, well, what's something that's like part of your story? He goes, well, do you know anything about Lansdowne Theater? I'm like, yeah, like I grew up like around the corner from there. He's like, oh, well, I went to high school there, and like, all right, well, we should have a conversation. So
I always tell people it's a small world, but in Philadelphia, it's even smaller.
Yeah, it is.
You know?
I'll be a pretend honorary Philadelphian.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. If you didn't know, you are now.
Okay. Well, now you know. You have to start looking at flights for the premiere. You got to come over for the premiere.
Right,
we'll take you around the neighborhoods. You know?
Yes.
And if you ever need someone to, make a movie poster, I'd be totally up for doing that.
Well, I know I'll be coming out your way one day.
I did this
when I come to London, to England, I'll let you know.
All right, cool.
All right.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys having me. Keep up the great work, and keep doing what you're doing. And God bless. I appreciate you.